As many of you are likely aware, the Celtics swept the Nets yesterday in 4 games. I want to talk about the Nets, but let's first start with the Celtics and particularly their defense. Offensively, the Celtics were great to the whole series, but defensively they just showed how dominant they could be, as they forced KD and Kyrie to give up the ball. In Game 1, Kyrie had 39 points, and through the rest of the series, or at least through Game 1 and Game 2 and Game 3, Kyrie didn't perform well, and neither did KD. KD looked flummoxed. He didn't look like KD. Game 4 was a different story. Kyrie scored 20 points, was pretty good around the 3-point line. KD was better in the field goal percentage point, but he was not great on the 3-point line. But KD had 39 points. Kyrie had 20 points. But the Celtics forced KD and Kyrie to do the whole series was pass the ball, pick up your dribble, and we're not going to allow you to beat us one-on-one. If there's a transition basket, we're going to foul you so you don't get there. We're going to force you to take your free throws, and that is it. And that's what the Celtics did. Now, on the flip side, for the Nets, here's what happened. There's a few parts of this. Let's talk about their offense. KD and Kyrie were supposed to be the main focal points. Obviously, they couldn't do anything. So you were forced to use what star players call the others. The others are just bench guys, rotational pieces. What the Celtics forced the Nets to do is force them to use Seth Curry, Brown, and other players to keep them in games. But what the Celtics did was truly extraordinary, as when they locked down KD and Kyrie, they closed out on shots from the others, even though they didn't make them. So, my question on the Nets is, you gotta find a way to, at least with this loss, if you can keep it together, get to another level. Now, this all goes to Steve Nash. Should Steve Nash be fired today? You could sound off in the comments section if you want. I could easily be persuaded that he should be. But I'm going to give you the reason he shouldn't be. Because KD and Kyrie had a great game last night. They kept them in the game. They only lost by 4. If you look through this series, the largest the Nets lost in this series was 8. The smallest was 1. They lost by a combined 18 points in this series. They lost by about 19 points in this series. That was it. It's not a whole lot. If I'm the Nets, I felt pretty good on that. That's what would keep Steve Nash there. What wouldn't keep Steve Nash there was lackluster defense. They couldn't guard anybody. Okay, let's be realistic. Whoever they put in the game didn't stop them. They couldn't guard anybody. Now, I do have a question on why they didn't play Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge. I understand Aldridge got hurt, but in the game that you were in Game 3 and Game 4, you needed a post presence. Andre Drummond is not that guy anymore. He can get you an offensive rebound, but he's not going to be able to just post you up. Blake Griffin gives you an outside threat. At least his presence allows everyone else to work. I don't understand why they didn't want to put Blake Griffin in Game 1 or LaMarcus Aldridge in Game 1 or either in Game 2. I don't only know that they put Blake Griffin in Game 3 and Game 4 And the commentators in Game 3 said that he looked gassed the whole time because he hadn't played. Now, a bunch of this falls on Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. They said, we don't need a coach. We can get anybody to be the coach. I can be the coach. This proves that even though you're a great player, the others need a coach. They really need a coach. So, what do I do here if you're the Nets? Do you fire Nash? Or do you keep him? Well, if you keep him, you go to Durant and you say, hey, we're keeping him, but you gotta allow us to build our roster the way we want to. And if we fire him, hey, you have to allow us to find the right coach. And allow us to do our jobs. That's what they should be doing. Now, Ben Simmons. I could go on forever talking about Ben Simmons right now. The guy did not play a minute in this season, and he hasn't played since last June. Somehow he had a back injury. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know if he was dancing. I don't know if he was on the New Jersey Turnpike and he hurt his back somehow. Something happened. But I saw this on Countdown on Friday. And Stephen A. brought out a great point, and I don't agree with Stephen A. a whole lot. But he said, there is 72 hours because Ben Simmons was not going to play Game 3, supposedly. Ben Simmons was not going to play Game 3 for whatever reason. But in Game 4, Stephen A. said this, there's 72 hours between now and then. I'm waiting for the excuse in that 72 hours to say he cannot play. What happened? Sunday, what happened? I can't play. My back's sore. Well, everyone's sore. Everyone's hurt. In sports, everyone knows this. There's a difference between being hurt and being injured. If you're sore, that means you're just hurt. You should play through it. Now, that's just my opinion. He hasn't played a minute at all. Yet, on the sidelines, when every other bit of his teammates are wearing black or gray, even the players that aren't playing are wearing black and gray, he's wearing these fancy clothes, these bright clothes. Like Game 1, he wore a green jacket. Game 3, because it was so obvious, you looked across, even from just the camera view, you could see Ben Simmons wearing a purple-orange jacket with orange sunglasses. Like, talk about not drawing attention to yourself. But the final thing, and the reason why it didn't happen, was Ben Simmons just potentially screwed over the NBA, at least for the players. He didn't play a minute of basketball this year, yet won in a court battle to get $20 million to not play. That would be like if I chose not to work and still got paid. That's not how it works. So, what would I do if I'm the Nets? I wouldn't pay him. And the owners are on their way. When they go for the collective bargaining agreements, that's supposedly the one thing that they're not going to give up. And if I'm the players, I feel bad, but I have to agree with it. This load management, especially when you're in your early 20s, it doesn't make any sense. You have Scotty Barnes who played on a bad leg, on one leg, and he played. That kid wants to play. Where you have Ben Simmons, my back's sore, you haven't played in a year. Why even put out the notion that I could play and choose not to play? And then get $20 million to do nothing? That's the problem with the Nets. No accountability, no defense, and Ben Simmons. Tell me what went wrong with the Nets this season in the comments section.